Two grumpy critics.
I will begin with a TV series that I started watching a few weeks ago, or probably by this time, maybe a few months ago, and finally finished it up. I wouldn't say I binged it, but I ended up watching the whole thing, and that is the HBO version of Westworld.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a few weeks back.
Yeah, and I know how you feel about HBO OOBS, and I know you kind of caught like the first 5 minutes or so of it, and then just walked away from it.
Right.
And I'm glad I watched the whole thing. I think it's interesting. First off, I'm just not smart enough for the show. I'll admit that right off, because it delves into territories and philosophy and stuff, and some of the twists and turns. I'm just like, what just happened and why? But I found it fascinating nonetheless, and it's not a new exploration of what makes something human. I mean, this goes way back. I mean, Philip Dick covered it pretty well. It was touched on by Kubrick and Spielberg and AI, things like that, and other pop culture phenomena. But what makes a robot human? Blade Runner, those kind of things.
Right.
And I think it handles it pretty well. I wouldn't say that it. I don't think it really does anything groundbreaking, but I think the way it handles that question is unique, and the way it compares human versus not human, and in this case, the androids that populate this fictional town of Westworld, where people can go and act out their fantasies. I think several things kept coming to mind as I was watching the show, aside from just the overall theme of the show, and it's something you could just sit around the coffee house and spend hours talking about. But you see these people who are on vacation in this town where these androids are walking around in various actions and occupations, and you see one like shoot or mistreat or assault an android, and the androids are so human and lifelike that I cringe at that.
Right.
And I think it's funny. It's kind of a litmus test of maybe the character that you are. Like, if I were in a town like that, you put yourself in that spot and you think, okay, if I were in Westworld, could I be the bad guy? Could I just go up and kill, or could I just go up and rape these things, knowing that they're not human? They're just very lifelike and look human. And the answer is a resounding no. I mean, I couldn't be a bad person, even to something that's mechanical and that's not human. And I think it's funny that that those questions come up. I mean, I'm the type of person that I feel guilty when I tell Google Home to skip a song in a playlist that is picked. I feel like I'm insulting it. I'm sorry, Google. I know you thought I would like that song, but I don't. And I feel bad when I say next, skip it, because I think, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, Google. I just didn't like that song.
Next, please.
Yeah. So I certainly couldn't mistreat these androids, and I wonder if that makes me a good person, if that is revealing of my character at all, or if that just makes me strange. I don't know, but it's interesting. Anthony Hopkins is one of the main characters in this, and he's kind of the ringleader. He's the one who designed, or at least helped design, these androids in this park, and his goal is to make them more human. And the way he does it is rather unique, and that he forces them to remember painful things. And these are androids that, every day they get shot, they get maimed, they get raped, they get mistreated, and then at the end of the day, their memories are supposed to be wiped, and then the next day they do it all over again.
Yeah.
Well, what his thought is, what makes us truly human, and that's suffering, the ability to suffer and to feel pain and to remember pain. So he kind of starts introducing this thing on the sly, where occasionally some of these androids, they remember being mistreated. They'll see somebody and they'll remember getting shot or stabbed or something horrible happening to them, or their family taken away. And it's these memories that start to trigger these seeming emotions, and that snowballs. And then it ends up, of course, the climax is they start to act a little bit more human and have more feelings, or at least on the surface. There is going to be a season 2, so we'll see what happens. But I thought the ending was pretty good. I mean, it seems it's very rare to encounter a series or a movie that has a strong ending when you ask these open-ended kind of questions like that. And I thought the writers did as good as they could with the material. I thought that some of the questions asked were poignant. Some of the things they brought up as to what makes us human. I mean, the free will. I mean, the argument is, well, humans have free will and these robots don't. And well, no, you don't have free will because you get up every day and you go to work and you do your job and you come home, and that's not your choice. It's something you have to do. So again, it's like philosophy majors could have a field day with this, and I think theme papers could be written about it, or dissertations could be written about it. And if you're into science fiction, into that sort of thing, and into the tropes of the Wild West, then or the genre, then I think you would enjoy it. If you're not a Wild West fan, if gunplay isn't your thing, and saloons and whiskey and that sort of thing, then your enjoyment will be reduced quite a bit. But if not, if you like that sort of thing and you like the sci-fi and those philosophical questions that often go along with it, I would recommend it. So I would give it 4 shots of rot gut out of 5.
Nice.
Paul, is it a million miles away from the original movie, the Yul Brynner film?
Much.
Right, because I've kind of avoided it because I was never convinced by the film, and it keeps popping up in the "you should probably like this" in my various lists. So you recommend I should have a look at it?
I do. If it is a lot different than the original film. In the original film, the movie Westworld, based on the book by Michael Crichton, the whole plot is that one of the androids just goes rogue.
Goes bad, yes.
Yeah, and there's no really explanation for it. So you have the coolness of Yul Brynner just walking around, and suddenly he's killing people where he shouldn't be able to, and you have the big confrontation there. Here, it's a lot more in depth, and of course it's 10 hours long versus 2 hours long, so you have time to get into more of these discussions. But here, there's a lot more intrigue. There's a lot more. There's elements of like spy and behind the scenes maneuvering and backstabbing and business maneuvering and things like that. You get a little bit of that in there. So it's one of those things where I think if you watch the first episode, I think you'll know whether you're going to enjoy it or not. You'll know where you'll just say, this is not my cup of tea. You'll walk away, or you'll stick with it. But so I would recommend at least checking out the first one.
I'll definitely do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
A Radio 6 international production from the USA. Copyright 2018.